This is a JavaFX desktop application used to manage products coming in and out of a warehouse, that is, logistics operations, keeping a record of the products as they go in and out, that's inventory operations, and being able to produce reports in different formats on the movement of these products in and out of the warehouse. This application really stands out for its focus on enterprise patterns and user support. My role in this application was to set up tools and processes within the application to enable ease of use, to enable the user who may not be totally familiar with the application to enter data effectively and quickly. So we'll just start by showing the login screen. This is the login screen. It talks to a remote database via a web application, a Spring application set up in Tomcat, and you authenticate against that database to gain access to the application. This is just a very typical setup. Once we've logged in and authenticated with the remote server, the application boots up. As you can see, it's nicely laid out with a good choice of colors that enable the user to identify the key components. You can see that it's a tab layout. If we look at this layout here, it's just a typical JavaFX grid view. In general, the tabs are set up with grids. If we go back to this grid, I'm going to go through the process and demonstrate the part of the application that I developed, and that was with adding extra functionality to the tables and grids as they appear when the user enters data. So we'll demonstrate that now. So we're going to enter an order. So an order comes up. So now the user wants to enter an item description, but they need to remember this. So I added autocomplete, which we will just look at now. Start with an entry that's like what already exists in the database, and you will get the autocomplete functionality. See how after we've entered, it immediately traverses to the next cell. So this widget here is actually part of a JavaFX table view. So we can enter the next piece of data, and when we hit return, it proceeds to the next phase of the data entry. I'll just briefly go through some code I wrote that provided the table cell traversals and the autocomplete functionality that we saw when I demonstrated the application. To provide that, I created a custom type, combo description cell, which is a covariant generic class, which takes as an input some sort of data type object, generic input, and outputs a string. It extends a text field proxy, which is a JavaFX type that has functions already provided for cell traversal. So the main role of this class is to provide the autocomplete and an extend cell traversal behavior provided by text field proxy. To provide that, we need to be able to get out via REST and get the data that's going to be populated in the autocomplete selections. That's the role of these types. And then we need a consumer. This is some sort of lambda function that will be passed to this class that allows us to implement the behavior when we have our data type objects coming in, the way they are updated in the cell. So we have our consumer comes in via our constructor. Now we have our product description loader. This goes out via REST and gets the data. So we need to obviously create a combo box so we can have a drop-down list of autocomplete selections. That's provided by this behavior here. So I won't go too far into the details, but that's just the high-level structure. We have a custom type, covariant, takes a data type object, outputs a string, has functionality to get via REST all the data we need to populate the autocomplete, has a consumer or a lambda function that is passed in for the behavior of how the data is updated in the view. We have cell traversal functions provided by text field proxy. Now I will just briefly describe the code at a high level. Firstly, it's a Maven project. It has two submodules, a client module and a wrapper. The client is the main source code, and we can run the client module directly in development. But when it's time for production, we use the wrapper module. So that packages up all the dependencies, packages it all into a runtime jar, which we can give to the end user to run on their desktop. I'll just quickly discuss a few other attributes of the application. Firstly, you can see it makes effective use of these widgets. They come from the Font Awesome library for JavaFX. So these are all Font Awesome here. Up here, this is Font Awesome. We have plugins for things like QuickBooks. For reporting, we're using Apache Poi with Excel or Jasper Reports with PDF. It's very standard, but put together really well in a very effective package, which makes a very professional application for warehouse or logistic type applications.